Over the past few days, there has been a surge of activity tied to the case of Jeffrey Epstein. And in a major reversal overnight, President Trump's now calling on House Republicans to vote to release the files on the notorious sex offender. Joining us now, NBC's Washington correspondent, Alice Barr. Alice, thanks for the time as always. So a lot to talk about today. The president has long opposed this push. He calls it a hoax by the Democrats. Why is he now going all in on releasing all of the documents?
Good morning, Cheryl. Yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise to see this message from President Trump overnight saying that, quote, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. And of course, he has always said that he did nothing wrong in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, who we know he was friends with back in the 90s. He's repeatedly said that he cut off the relationship because Epstein was a creep. He has never been charged in any way connected to Epstein's sex trafficking ring and his sex trafficking crimes. But the president had long opposed this push to release the files this way through this discharge petition. That's the vote that's coming out this week. He's called it a hoax by Democrats, and as recently as this weekend claimed that Democrats were trying to use the Epstein investigation as a deflection from the success of his party and of his administration. And he's gone so far as to really slam Republicans who had backed this bill, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, a longtime ally, who says she's faced threats after his recent criticism. And again, over the weekend, he called her Marjorie Traitor Greene and said he didn't believe that her life was in danger. He also, as recently as last week, his administration tried to convince some of the Republicans who were on board with this discharge petition to change course. But now he himself has changed course, and I think it may be a function of realizing that this is happening, this is going ahead. There was a new Democrat sworn into the House last week, which pushed the numbers over the edge to where this vote is going to make it to the floor. And so this is reality, and now he's saying clearly, listen, I have never done anything wrong. It's time to move forward. It's time to focus on his administration's successes.
You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's really been pushing the president, along with some other Republicans, to get in front of this, to release all of it. So this about face, interesting, even as we know the context of some of the pressure within his own party. But the president really going on a counterattack, directing the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's relationship with prominent Democrats. Talk about, the partisan play here. What do you feel like the hope is to accomplish here?
Yeah, so the president has now directed the Justice Department to investigate Epstein's relationship with several prominent Democrats, among them former President Bill Clinton. And he, among others, were mentioned in a trove of emails a House committee released last week. That was what kind of pushed this back to the forefront. We know that former President Clinton has been mentioned in connection in the past. He has always denied wrongdoing and has never been charged. Neither, of course, has President Trump. And that new tranche of emails also referenced the president, including one from Epstein saying that he, quote, knew about the girls. The White House denies that, stressing that Epstein, a convicted sex offender, was a known liar. So it's an effort to get everything out in the open. There have been a lot of disclosures to this point, but this one would be the full files, which is what everyone who's been pressing for this has been pushing for all along, with, of course, redactions for the survivors and for ongoing investigations, but not redacting anything that would just be considered embarrassing to anybody politically or anybody else who might be mentioned who's a high-profile figure in these files. I think that's something that everybody has been pointing toward who is involved.
No doubt. And we know that survivors will be rallying at the Capitol this week, so we'll be following that as well. Alice Barr, always appreciate the update and the reporting from Washington. Thanks a lot.